Good morning, guys. This week we are going to be reading a story called A Message from Space. And what we're going to be working on while we're reading is thinking about how the character changes from the beginning of the story to the end. Because our main character goes through an experience. And I don't know about you, but I have had some experiences in my life that have changed me as a person and made me want to be better because I learned more about myself. So here we are going to read that Naya doesn't think she'll ever be as special as her mom until a surprise from space changes everything. This is written by Christina Diaz Gonzalez, and the art is by Jennifer Zivoyan. So think and read before we get started. I want you to think while I'm reading, and when you go to read it on your own, I want you to think how a character changes. As you read, think about how Naya changes from the beginning of the story to the end. So the experience she has and the talks that she has with people that she's in the same family as change her perspective on herself and on life. And you're going to find out why. So here we go. It was a day like no other. The Estrada family always had big family celebrations, but this was different. There were so many people in Naya's small house in Florida, she didn't even recognize half of them. They were all waiting for the big rocket launch. Everyone was having fun, everyone except Naya. She was hiding out in her bedroom, hugging her favorite turtle pillow. Naya couldn't pretend to be happy. And if I'm looking at the picture here, I know that that's what I would always do when I was upset. I would hug one of my favorite stuffed animals, and you can really tell by her face that something's bothering her. Her mother was sitting inside a rocket ship, about to blast off into space. She would be gone for 3 whole months. Plus, Naya couldn't help thinking about everything that could go wrong on the mission. "What are you doing?" Abuelo asked, pushing open the door. "You're missing the party." Naya shrugged. Abuelo smiled and kissed Naya's head. "Your mom has spent years training for this mission." "Everything will be fine." "Aren't you a little scared, though?" Naya asked, her voice quivering. "When you're scared, you take a deep breath like one of your sea turtles coming up for air before it goes underwater again." Abuelo reached out and held his granddaughter's hand. "Then, slowly, let it out and face whatever is bothering you. I taught your mother that very same thing when she was your age." Okay, so let's pause and think. Why is Naya feeling nervous? Well, I read on the last page that her mom is about to go into space in a rocket ship. And she's been training for this, but she's going to be gone for 3 months. I went too far. Hold on, guys. Let me get back to where I left off. Okay, so here's the first page where we read about her mom going on a mission. All right, a hero. Naya hugged her grandfather. Just thinking about the sea turtle seemed to calm her down. "I wish I were like Mom," she whispered. "But I'm not." Abuelo pulled back and laughed. "Naya, you are already so much like her. Don't you see it?" He shook his head. "Your mother is very proud of you. We all are." Naya stared at her feet. She didn't believe her grandfather. Her mother was a hero. Everyone said so. She was an Air Force pilot. She had degrees in engineering and science. She'd even won a national cake making contest. And now she was going to space. Naya was just the president and the only member of her school's Save the Turtles Club. Why would her mother be proud? "Hey, Naya." Naya's older cousin JJ walked into the room. Naya smiled. JJ was her favorite cousin. Now that he was in high school, he seemed even cooler. Abuelo gave Naya one more squeeze. "Stay here as long as you need to, but keep an eye on the clock. I don't want you to miss the big moment when we see your mom inside the rocket." Pause and think. Why does Naya think her mom is a hero? Well, we read that she's an Air Force pilot. That's really impressive. And to do that, she had to have degrees in engineering and science. And then, this is really cool, but she won a national cake making contest. Huh. All right, this next section is called Really Into Sea Turtles. This is all so cool, JJ said, leaning against the door. It must be awesome to have an astronaut as a mom. Sometimes, Naya said. It's just hard to live up to everyone expecting me to be like her. I don't even like flying in planes. I get airsick. JJ laughed. Yeah, that could be a problem. He looked around Naya's room. Sea turtle posters hung on the walls. A small collection of stuffed turtles filled a rocking chair. Books on ocean animals lined the bookshelves. Even Naya's desk lamp had sparkly pink turtles on it. Guess you're really into turtles, JJ said. I knew you liked them when we were little, but you sure have a lot of them. Yeah, Naya stared at the floor. I'm pretty sure Mom thinks it's silly to have so many in my room. She could only imagine what her older cousin must think of her and all her turtles. He probably still saw her as a 5-year-old who spilled milkshakes down her shirt. I guess it is babyish, Naya said. I should get rid of some of them. Why? We should all have things we're passionate about, like your mom with space. I only wish I knew what my passion was, JJ said with a grin. Loving Abuela's cookies doesn't really count. Pause and think. What is Maya passionate about? Obviously, based on her room, I think she's really passionate about turtles. And even in the picture, I can tell that she's looking at something that says Save the Turtles. So she wants to protect them because she cares about them so much. JJ glanced over at Naya's shoulder at the computer screen. A beach cleanup day, he asked, pointing to a flyer on the screen. To help your little ocean friends? In a way, Naya smiled. A clean beach helps everybody. And you're the one organizing it? JJ asked, raising his eyebrows. Yeah, I'm going to put up flyers at school tomorrow, Naya explained. Only like 5 friends came out last time, but this time I think there might be about 8 of us. We're going to meet some park rangers early in the morning to look for sea turtle nests. Do you always find nests? JJ asked. I usually spot a couple. We make sure nests get marked so people don't bother them. JJ stared at Naya. Wow, you're pretty impressive for a younger cousin. Naya sat a little taller in her chair. She never thought of herself as impressive. Helping the environment and animals? Maybe I should do something like that, JJ said. Make a difference like you and your mom do. Naya! It's almost time, Abuelo called out. Hurry! Naya felt her stomach do a flip. She remembered what Abuelo had told her. Be like a sea turtle. Take a deep breath and then dive in. Wow, the mood of the story is really starting to get suspenseful at this point because I know that they're all really anxious that her mom is about to be up in space and the countdown to go to space will be beginning soon. All right, pause and think. Why does JJ think Naya is impressive? Sorry, I got tongue-tied. Well, he thinks she's impressive because she is so young and yet she's still trying to help the environment and protect the sea turtles. That's pretty big for someone her age, especially if she's the one organizing it and being in charge at her school. All right, a sea turtle in space. What? There's going to be a sea turtle in space? The entire house had gone completely quiet. All eyes were watching the large TV. Naya could see the rocket on the launch pad. She could feel her heart beating inside her chest. All of a sudden, Naya's whole family was shouting, 3, 2, 1, lift off! There she goes, Abuelo shouted as the rocket lifted toward the sky. Esa es mi hija. That's my daughter. The whole room erupted into cheers. A camera inside the space capsule showed Naya's mother giving the thumbs up sign. Abuela smiled as Naya jumped up and down with excitement. So amazing, JJ shouted as he high-fived Naya. The next big moment came 8 minutes later. Naya and her family became quiet once again as the main engines broke off and the astronauts entered outer space. The TV showed the astronauts floating in the spacecraft. Naya's mom had done it. She was officially a space traveler. Look, Naya, Abuelo pointed to the TV where a camera showed the inside of the spacecraft. That's for you. That's when Naya saw it. A stuffed toy sea turtle began to float past the astronauts. It was a special message from Naya's mother. She had taken a little piece of Naya to space, bringing both of their passions together. A tear slid down Naya's cheek, and she started to laugh. There was a sea turtle in space. It made her think about what JJ had said earlier today. Naya's smile grew even bigger. She hoped that her mom could see it all the way from space. Why was there a toy sea turtle in space? Right, Naya's mom took it to space with her so that it would be a message to her daughter. And it also kind of signifies how proud she is that she has a passion like her mom does. All right, so today you are going to answer some questions. And so those questions are going to go along with what we just read. So I will send you the assignment with the story attached so that you can use it to find text evidence as you answer the questions. Okay, so you're going to have to go back to the story and read those sections to help you answer the questions. And as you are reading again, I want you to think about the mood that the author creates by what's happening to the characters. That's like the overall feel that you have as you're reading it. Okay, so I already told you that whenever the countdown began, it was very suspenseful as we were waiting to see if the takeoff would go well and if her mom would shoot and make it into outer space. But there was also a section at the end where she was feeling very sentimental. That was the mood because something special from her mother was being shared with her from outer space. Something that would make her feel really good about her passions and have a special connection with her mother. So there's different moods that you can feel throughout as you're reading, just like you would feel a different mood about maybe a painting you were looking at. It would put you in a different kind of mood depending on what it looks like. So you might feel happy, lonely, grateful, suspenseful, romantic, sorrowful, different moods as you're reading something. So at the end of the story, I felt very happy. It was a good mood that it put me in by the time I finished reading it because she had finally started to have more value for the things that she'd really started to place more value on the things that she enjoys and her passions instead of thinking that it was childish. Because now she knows that her cousin and her mom both think that her passion for turtles is really cool. So we're going to stop here today and you guys answer the questions and we'll meet and talk about this during our live lesson.